How's it going, everyone? Data here, and welcome back to the Philadelphia Flyers franchise mode, episode number 9, headed into the 2024 off-season. In the last one, we had a difficult run in the postseason as we came off a big first-round victory against the Carolina Hurricanes in 7 games, but then proceeded to get swept out of the second round by the Washington Capitals, who went on to win the 2024 Cup. It was a lot of one-goal losses, there was a lot of EA voodoo. We did a lot better than a 4-0 sweep would sound, but really difficult nonetheless to go out in such a fashion. We had great playoff performances from our first line, Nylander, Giroux, even Couturier, 6 points in 6 games. Bobby Brink was a great revelation with 7 points. Moritz Seider was great as well, but we had major struggles from players such as Owen Tippett, who had no goals on 38 shots, only 2 points in 11 games, after having a 50-plus point season. And as well in the goaltending, Carter Hart was all right. He wasn't horrible, but he didn't quite get the job done, and his regular season wasn't anything to write home about either. A .924 save percentage is very good. I'm not saying we want to move on from him, but he is due for a contract, and it's going to be very costly. So heading into this offseason, our biggest questions have to do with the contract and salary cap restrictions, and I'm very excited to get into this postseason. I think it's been about 6 days since we've done franchise mode, with the Matthew Savoie career sim taking up some time, so I am just itching to get back into franchise mode. Are all expiring here. Claude Giroux, also a big name we have to think about. We have just over $17 million to play with, and a guy like Claude Giroux wants 7.35 at the age of 36, which is really tough. We might be able to swing it, but it won't be easy. So hopefully we can get a little GM data magic over here. We also have to think about what's going on in the draft, as there are some tempting prospects in the top 5. We do have some potential trade pieces in Owen Tippett and the 19th overall pick, but it will depend on whether or not teams want to trade their picks. Josh Parros, a popular suggestion in the last one, a medium elite prospect who scored 44 goals in 68 games, 111 points, reminds me of an American prospect we had in, I think, our Anaheim Ducks franchise in NHL 20. Was his name Sador? Really going back in the memory banks there. Something, if you know, you know. It reminds me of that size and that scoring ability. But again, it'll depend on if any teams want to trade their picks. Because if we are picking at 19, it looks like there's not going to be anybody crazy. Like, you can get a medium top 6 prospect, but it won't be anyone who's coming anytime soon, as they're all 3 years away from making the NHL. It would be a guy somewhere in the probably 60 overalls. And so we have to think about the larger picture. What kind of team are we headed into 2024-25? So let's see what the assistant general managers had to say getting into the comments of the last one. Between YouTube and Discord, I think there was over like 30 comments, so I really appreciate all of you taking the time to involve yourselves in this series, because it helps me to make the decisions that I do make. Obviously, I can't cover every comment in video. I try to give priority to the newer comments, but I'm always replying down there in the comments. So even if I'm not getting to it here, please do leave your thoughts, because they do very much help the series. So our first comment comes from Budget Philly, the first time commenting on an episode for Budget Philly. Finally caught up on the franchise mode. I've been very pleased with the videos, as they're very entertaining to watch, as I'm a Flyers fan, and I know the season will be very much painful with the retool that Chuck Fletcher likes to call it. Personally, I would try and get rid of Tippett, as he didn't show up much in the postseason, and you could probably get a decent pick or even the rights to an RFA that you know can perform in the postseason. For Carter Hart, I would try and re-sign him, as he is a solid goalie, but if he won't sign for a reasonable price, I would try to trade him and get some pieces back and try to pick up something like an 84 overall goalie that can be solid for less in free agency. Claude Giroux, I would let walk or maybe trade to get a piece for him. As much as I'm a Flyers fan, I don't think that in the EA-verse he is worth as much as he is asking for. So a note about Claude Giroux, and thank you for that comment, especially as a Philly fan. The Claude Giroux in the Prime universe, before the blip, if you don't know, there was EA voodoo that made us redo a couple seasons and players simulated differently as a result of that. Claude Giroux originally, I think he had like a 50-some point season, but in the new universe that we're in right now, he had a 72-point season, and he's still an 87 overall, as opposed to the 83 that he dropped down to. So I'm okay with giving $7 million to Claude Giroux, or $6 million or whatever, if he's putting up numbers like that. So I don't think the question is Claude Giroux worth that money right now? It's just, will he be worth it come start of the season, and even, game 50, game 60, and so forth. And when it comes to Carter Hart, he is going to be an RFA, but he also wants big money. We could go cheaper on a one-year deal to keep him as an RFA, but I think we're going to have to go the cheap way around where we qualify him, and then sometime in August we get him for 1 year, and his demand drops to like maybe 6 or 7 as opposed to the 8 million that it's currently at. It's really the UFAs that are more time sensitive. Etch comments, thanks for the video. Rough second round. Gotta love that EA computer play with Hart letting in that softie. Oh my goodness, that was frustrating. Depending on Hart's demands, it may be beneficial to just qualify him, absolutely. If there's a cheap but quality starter UFA goalie, we could consider that, but I don't think you should be going for anyone over 28. You want a goalie that can work for you for years to come, and I think that guy is Carter Hart. Definitely look around the league for any young snipers that are available. If you can package Tippett and the first to upgrade, I think it would be worth it. You're not going to be picking any impactful player at 19, and they won't even be in the league until guys like Couturier and Ellis are declining. The defense core is young, and there are guys who are ready to step up. But at forward, there's no future 1C. I'm not sure if that's short-term or long-term, because we do have Matthew Savoie in the system. But unless you decide to blow up the team, I think a 21, 25-year-old established sniper is a better choice than drafting an 18-year-old who is a few years out. Now, that's a great question, because headed into next season, if Owen Tippett comes out of the lineup, the top 6 could be, for example, Giroux, Couturier, Nylander, second line, Farabee, Frost, and then fill in the blank with a younger sniper. But we could also look to promote a player in our system. That's what Pylon 47, or maybe if we're speaking in French, it's Pilon 47. You have your replacement for Tippett in Bobby Brink. Even though he's a playmaker, he's a volume shooter and scores big goals. Time to promote that man to right wing 2 and reap the rewards. I like that idea very much because Brink simulated very well. His overall, I think it's going to at least be an 84 to start next season. And he's going to want the top 6 minutes. Keeping him on the third line may be detrimental. So instead of going out and getting a sniper right now, maybe we trade Tippett to try and get some draft capital, whether it be now for the future, and then promote Bobby Brink right now, and we give him the opportunity to show more of what he's already been showing us. Concerning other trades, Cab VC says that he would trade Scott Lawton to restore draft capital. He's kind of, he's our bottom 6 centerman between the 3rd and 4th line, but he is making over $3 million. He has a bad cap hit, so that would help with the cap space. Maybe get something like a 3rd rounder back. Just the biggest thing about Scott Lawton is that he's a big guy in Philly. He's a fan favorite. He's good in the locker room. He's been here for a while. I would like to keep him if possible. I wouldn't just dump him because of salary cap unless we're really struggling. Depends on the RFA situation. But it is something to keep in mind after he had a lackluster postseason, so thank you for that. But back to the lineup ideas, Ryan leaves a great comment here. Heartbreaking series data, you deserved better, but here are the thoughts. I'm not sold on the idea of signing a big free agency sniper. Obviously, if the deal is too good to be true, then you go for it, but I would rather promote Bobby Austin Matthews Brink or package Tippett plus picks for a sniper. So that perfectly goes into what we were just saying about Bobby Brink. I think Mo Seider needs a competent partner. We haven't seen half of his potential yet. That's what I'd go for in free agency. Plus, the defensive chemistry could use a shakeup. So we'll definitely get a new head coach that fits Moritz Seider. But I'm hoping that Cam York can be his partner on the left D because we already have a lot of money tied up in defense. Rasmus Ristolainen playing third pair, making over $5 million. So I'm not sure if a left D is going to be ideal. Hopefully, we find a coach that fits York and Seider. I don't remember if Quick and or Subban are expiring. Just Subban's expiring. Quick has one more year. But I'd love to see an older, more reliable backup. 81 to 83 range maybe. Shouldn't be too pricey in free agency. Goalies always ask for no money anyways. Otherwise, Ustamenko looks promising and could save a few dollars. He was our minor league starter and he did very well last season. We can't afford Giroux and Hart, and if I'm honest with how the team performs right now, I'm more sold on 1 to 3 more years of Giroux. I could be insane, but maybe package Hart plus the 19th overall pick for a very good first round pick that could get a roster spot immediately. Hopefully, if a top 5 pick is available, maybe it won't cost that much. We gotta see. I gotta think those goalies in free agency would ask for less than Hart. Other than that, if the asking prices aren't too bonkers, I'd consider signing 1 or 2 more reliable defense first, fourth liners. Those 80, 81 overall Arturi Lehkonen type guys. Great episode as always. Looking forward to the next one, Bello. Thank you very much, Ryan. Great stuff. There's so many other comments I could pull from as I'm just reading them right now, and I appreciate everyone's involvement in this series so much because it makes it so immersive. But I'm going to close it out on YouTube with Scott's comment, who says he would make a serious effort to try and draft that guy Paros, that sniper who might be going at 5th. he'll be cheaper than any UFA we could sign, and he's NHL ready. So the thing about NHL ready is that it goes as low as 77-ish overall and as high as like 84 overall. So NHL ready doesn't always mean he'll actually be in the NHL, but it's much better than a guy who's in his 60s. A sniper who's 3 to 4 years away, like the other guys we're looking at, won't help us unless we're willing to wait for him to develop, and given our depleted draft capital, I don't think we can be. Maybe try and offer the 19th overall pick with Tippett and or Farabee, maybe another roster player, to try and move up, or even add a high-value prospect. Thank you, Scott. I think another point to make about drafting someone is that even if that player, let's say Parros is a 77 overall, he is a medium elite guy who's going to be good in a year or two. And if we use Tippett in the 19th overall pick to trade for someone, as much as that would help us more, it would make the cap situation even tighter. So I don't think we can afford taking on a guy who's going to make 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 million if he's going to be a first liner. I'd rather get the guy who's going to be cheaper, promote Bobby Brink, and let development go from there. But again, that all depends on whether or not a team wants to trade their picks in the top 5, because even if they don't, we could try, but it's going to be really difficult if no one wants to trade their picks. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for all of those comments. Now we're ready to head into the draft, and it really, you got to go quick in the draft, so you only have a few minutes between picks. If the, I don't want to trade up too high, if the 3rd, 4th, or 5th, and maybe 6th if he drops, but I doubt it because he has his medium elite potential. Ideally, if the 4th or 5th pick is up for grabs, we would trade up and look to try and get Josh Parros. I don't think he's going to be in our lineup next season necessarily, because I forget if the draft class was set to low or if it was set to medium, but I'm not banking on him being in the NHL next season. Even if he is, he could be a 3rd liner, but I'm really more banking on Bobby Brink getting his promotion if we do trade Owen Tippett and whatever else to move up to this pick. And then he, along with Savoie, as our medium elite guys, become our future, since we don't have a lot of draft capital, since our first round picks got taken away by Chuck Fletcher in the NHL. So that being said, we can get into the draft because the contracts and the new head coach and all that's going to be happening later on. Let's start off the draft. We don't have much to do. It's pretty much going to come down to our first selections. We don't have many picks in this draft. First overall pick is Chicago, not up for grabs. Arizona, Pittsburgh, Columbus. All those picks are not up to grabs. It really comes down to whether or not the 5th overall pick wants to be traded. And it does. It does. That could be perfect. But with, I think, 2 or 3 of the top 4 guys are defensemen. Some teams pass on D and go for forward. So it could be that Parros goes to Columbus. That's the problem. Parros could very well go to Columbus. Oh boy. Okay, well, let's start thinking about this. We don't want to trade yet, but if we did make the trade, if he's available at 5 and we make the trade, it may not happen still, but that's step 1. The 5th overall pick is available. If we're willing to give Owen Tippett, who doesn't have that much value, but fair enough value, and if we throw in, Farabee might be too much value, especially I don't want to move 2 guys from our top 6. Bobby Brink replaces Tippett, but then who replaces Farabee? So I'd be okay with moving Lawton. I wouldn't want to. We're still not quite there for the value. They want both those pieces as well. So if we move the 19th overall pick as well, that might be enough right there. That would be enough in value. But now Nashville's over the maximum salary cap. So we'd have to just take somebody back, whoever has an expiring contract. If we just go to, sorting by salary, expiring, we could take Dmitry Orlov, for example. And this would be approved. So this would likely go through. Tippett, Lawton, who they both want, and the 19th overall pick for the 5th overall pick and Dmitry Orlov. So that's probably going to go through. But now the question is, does Parros drop to 5? Or do we even trade to 5 and move up to 4? Hold on, let's see who goes in the top 3. Chicago drafts medium elite defenseman, defensive defenseman, 80 overall, 1st overall. Arizona at number 2 takes medium elite right wing 2-way forward. So already an 80 and a 78 going tells me that Parros is likely not an 80, 81 plus. He's probably in the 70s. And the Penguins go ahead and select Harima, another defenseman. So now, do the Blue Jackets want to draft another defenseman in McBride, or do they go for the forward in Josh Parros? This is going to be dicey here, because I'd almost trade for 5 and try to get up to 4 just to make sure we get it, because I didn't think we'd even get this far. I don't know if we can risk it. I think I'm going to try and make that deal happen with Nashville and trade up for 4. If Columbus doesn't want to trade up for 4, then we might be up the creek with number 5, but we're going to make do. We're gonna make do. Let's try and get this done ASAP. We gotta make this deal happen fast. Tippett with Lawton and the 19th overall pick, going to Nashville for the 5th overall pick and their most expensive contract just to get it off the books for them in Dmitry Orlov, who's down here in value. There he is. Nashville, what do you say to this? David Poyle, you're a bit off in value. Okay. We have some later picks we could always toss in. So let's go back to the draft picks. I could throw in a 6th. How close does this get us? 6th round pick. We're saving salary to re-sign our pending free agents. We're not comfortable taking on extra salary at this moment. Here's a little lesson for you, everybody. Whenever this happens, you could trade for 5 expiring contracts of $10 million each. They'll say the same thing. You have to take the most expensive person who has 2 years left on the deal. For example, perfect example right here, Ryan Johansson. Ryan Johansson, 2 years left at $8 million, so it'll be 1 year at $8 mil. We have to dump Ryan Johansson or buy him out or something to make this deal happen. That kind of makes me not want to do it as much. 19th overall pick, Tippett, Lawton, and 182 to Nashville for 5 and Johansson. They still want more value than that. If I throw in the 4th, how close does that get us? We got to move fast because Columbus is going to make that pick in about a minute. Still rejected. I don't have time to be picky. If I go 3rd and 4th, what do you say, Nashville? Trade accepted. Bang. We have the 5th overall pick. Now we go to Columbus. I want the 4th overall pick to move up 1 slot. If I want to move down 1 slot, I could get like a 6th round pick. I want to move up 1 slot, I got to give them an arm and a leg. If I give you 2 7ths, let's just say for fun, 2 7. Come on, the menu is so sticky. 2 7th round picks rejected. Yeah, this is not likely going to happen without like a 4th or something, right? 3 7s rejected. Goodbye. We already don't have enough draft capital. I don't know if we could dig into our prospect pool or what. You're quite far off in value. Of course we are. Who could we throw in here? These 62 overall, 20-year-old guys, Burmistrov and Tam. 2 low elite guys. If I take out the 4th, what do you say to this? Trade accepted. Bang! Let's go! 4th overall pick to Philadelphia. And with the 4th overall selection, we're going to take hopefully a player who will be a monster in years to come, Mr. Josh Parros. So let's head up to the podium. On behalf of the Philadelphia Flyers organization, we'd like to congratulate the Washington Capitals on their Stanley Cup victory. And with the 4th overall selection, the Flyers are proud to select from the U.S. development system, Josh Parros. Welcome to Philly, Bello. Let's see what you got. 77 overall, medium elite. That's all right, but what I really want to hope for is 4 or 5-star shooting. What do you say here, Parros? What do you got for me? 4-star shooting, 88s and 89s, and make it snappy. Wheels, schnipe, 1T, off the rush, close quarters, bang. Great for chemistry, superstar abilities, left winger, left-hand shot, 3-star puck skills, 84 offensive awareness. Welcome to Philly. Okay, 5'8" and 79 body checking. I'll take that as well. He's here. Maybe he would have been there at 5. It costs us whatever, a couple prospects we weren't going to use anyways. I'm okay with that. And Columbus goes ahead and selects McBride. Would they have taken him anyways? I do not know. But all that to say is, well, Owen Tippett, best of luck, my friend. Off to the Nashville Predators. We'll see you later over in the Western Conference. He was a good piece for us. Came back for Claude Giroux. We ended up getting Claude Giroux back on the team ourselves. So I guess it turns out to be a wash, right? I want to see, could I dump Ryan Johansson right now, or do we actually have to buy him out? Ryan Johansson, he is an 84 overall, but making $8 million, I'd prefer to trade him. Okay, we can get some value for him. We need, yes. Although Ryan Johansson would be fun to keep, we can afford $8 million, plus we need to recoup some draft capital. So I'm going to send him to LA for a 3rd, a 6th, and whatever else I can squeeze out in next year's draft. So this is a match made in heaven, actually, this trade with Nashville. This really worked out for us. 2025 7th. LA, what do you say? Still reject. All right. I won't be too greedy. A 3rd and a 6th. Thank you very much, Los Angeles. Ryan Johansson gets moved for picks, and that frees up another $8 million and gives us more draft capital. So that means after this season, we only have whatever. Forget this year. Next year, we have 3 third-round picks, a 4th, a 5th, 2 6ths, and a 7th. In 2026, we have a 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. 2027, the same. In 2028, we're back to normal with our first-round picks. But that is big stuff happening in Philadelphia. I don't really think we have the trade value to make any more deals. Even if we want to draft someone, let's say, in the 3rd round, we really don't have any draft capital left, trade capital left, I don't think. We could move some of these lower guys like Avon or Tumala, maybe Ginning. It's not going to be much. Maybe we can get a late pick. I'm going to sim to at least to the third round. So sim to next round, and then sim to next round again. There's no chance we're getting a second or a third round pick, and that's just being realistic. So after the fifth overall pick, we had, okay, it really dropped off in overall. We had this guy, medium top 6, 74 overall, high top 9 to the Bruins. Yikes. Medium top 4s, medium top 6s. Yeah, nothing special. Medium elite grinder goes to 17, just top 6s. So our pick at 19, it would have been, yeah, medium top 6 kind of guy. Aixen, Fical, Bouillon. It would have been one of those guys. Medium top 6s all around. Even medium top 9s and medium top 6Ds at the end of the first round. Yikes. Usually some better guys at the top at the second round. A 72 overall starting goalie goes to Minnesota there. Jack Brunette. Okay. And then more the same, medium elite goalie, more, yep. Doesn't look like anything crazy in this class, just some medium elite goalies. A lot, actually, yeah, a good handful of medium elite goalies. So round number 3 now. Is there anyone that I really want to go crazy to trade up for now, or can we wait until the 4th round? Medium starter goalie, a low top 6 Swiss player, Kenneth Strudwick, 17 years of age, 4 years away. Low top 6 might be one of the better uncovered prospect players that we have left. 2 bars low elite, 2 bars low elite, 1 bar medium elite. We just don't know enough to make a trade for a guy like this right now. Low elite, this guy Omark, Christian Omark. Right winger, 4 years away, 18 years of age. Not a guarantee, though, on his potential. I'd hate to get a guy who's like medium top 9 and we trade all that value for him. Not much here, eh? Really not much here. Even if in our later picks in that 6th and 7th round, nothing's really standing out to us. So I'm okay with trying to make this trade here for Kenneth. The Penguins don't want to trade their picks, so I won't even try. But he goes there. So it's not even worth it. What am I going to give you? A 6th and 3/7 for a 3rd? No way the Penguins would have done that, and they didn't want to trade their pick. So Strudwick, not meant to be. He was low top 6, 61 overall. Pretty normal prospect. Nothing crazy, but would have been nice to have. So let's just sim to the next round once again. Low top 6s going after there. Some more low top 6s. A lot of medium top 9s. It would be difficult to take a risk on these guys. This guy Malms, wow. Medium elite 71 overall, 18 years of age. Power forward with 3-star shooting. Oof, now that's a gem. Unfortunately, and even another medium elite. And then a low elite. Unfortunately, our scouting wasn't great this season since we had to do it auto, thanks to the blip. But, my goodness. A couple of really good pieces right there. Let's check the 4th round now. Omark is here. Do we want to take a risk on Omark? Good old Christian Omark from Switzerland. We're not really doing much with our pick there, so let's try. Let's go to see the Nashville Predators again. The Vegas gets a medium elite goalie at 99. We're gonna make another trade with Nashville. Let's see if they want to do one more deal with us. I'll give you, let's see, a 6th and 2/7 for a 4th. Let's just see what they say to that. No, I'd have to give them all the picks we have left. And I think I'm okay with that because unless we want to make some late picks. How about I give you 3/7 and one of those prospects we're not using, and I just take a shot in the dark with that 6th round pick, and we see if we can just get another player in our system. Ginning is also an expiring deal. Yeah, he's not coming back. 69-24, low top 4 deep potential. I'll get a 99th overall pick now and even a pick next season. 7th round pick here. Still reject. Quite far off in value. All right. Really? I thought this was really going to go through. My apologies. Who's expiring and not coming back? That's what I want to think about here. Who are the guys that we're not going to re-sign anyways? Strome, I like to try. Yeah, I'd like to keep Strome. Zamula, he's good in the real world, but over here, not as much. So I'm okay with sending him to Nashville because I probably wouldn't be signing a medium 7th B guy anyways. 7th, come on, here we go. Still rejected. All right, straight up for 99. Thank you, David Poyle. All right, so with the 99th overall selection, I really hope he's low elite. The Flyers are proud to select from the SHL Christian Omark, potentially a low elite 2-way forward. Fingers crossed. And he's low elite. Okay, 57 overall, still a project, but we need those potential players. He's a sniper with 2-star shooting. Not bad for a lower overall player, actually. Oftentimes, these lower overall high potential players have like 1-star everything. So 2-star shooting is not actually horrible. We'll go ahead and sim all the way to pick number 182 now. Pick 22 in the 6th round. And with that pick, we're just going to sort by potential pretty much here. And is there anyone who interests us? Only 1 bar medium elites, can't risk that. 2 bar medium top 6 Malmstrom. Guaranteed low top 9 forward, but an enforcer. Not as interested. Let's just go for the 2 bar guy in Malmstrom. The other guy, Malmstrom, was medium elite earlier, right? So maybe it's in the name. Maybe it's his brother. So Ludwig Malmstrom from Liga. He is 5 years away. He's going to be low potential, low overall for sure. Probably top 9-ish. Medium bottom 6. Yikes. 50 overall, but you know, we're going to take a risk on a guy like that anyways. So there is the draft, ladies and gentlemen, making quite a few moves. Not a quantity here once again because of the picks. But we got Paros, we got a low elite and Omark, pick up Malmstrom, whatever. He'll probably be trade bait. And moving forward, we also regained some draft capital with the Ryan Johansson trade. So I see that draft as a win, absolutely. Now we got to re-sign our coaches and our scouts. I'll take care of that off screen, and then we'll head to the contract page. Alright, so let's break out the calculator now. With Owen Tippett and Scott Lawton both gone, my apologies, I really just breezed by Scott Lawton after giving all the respect to Owen Tippett. Scott Lawton, quick just goodbye to him. He was a big piece here in Philadelphia. It's unfortunate that we moved on from him. I would have liked to keep him. 3.12 for third, fourth line centerman for another season. Wouldn't have been horrible. He was a 20th overall selection by the Flyers in 2012, 12 years ago, and he was a solid two-way guy for us. He put up numbers as well in the original Prime universe, not as much in the Blipped universe, but still over 600 games played with the Flyers, so we will miss him, and we thank him for his service here with the Flyers. Moving towards the current day now, Claude Giroux. Now his demand comes down. I thought so. That's why I wanted to wait until after the draft. Sometimes comes down a little bit. 1 year at 6.95. 85% of that is 5.90. So I really got to be stingy this offseason. Absolutely. No breaks for anybody this year. No Christmas bonuses. 1 year, 5.925 for Giroux. Hopefully he signs it. He does want to re-sign, so hopefully that still leaves us with like 16 million to play with. That would be ideal. So there you have Giroux. Joel Edmondson. In a perfect world, you'd think about keeping him. He wasn't great. He wants over 4 million. We don't have the money for it. We're going to let him walk. Isaac Ratcliffe now. He is an RFA, so no big rush on him. He's been good. I don't know if he's going to stay in the fourth line role or move to a third line role, but I'm going to get back to you later on, actually. I'm going to go to just the UFAs right now. Sorella was a guy we just signed for the AHL. He wants a one-way deal at 1.5 million. We don't know what's up with Matthew Savoie. I don't know how many spots I'll have in the NHL lineup. I got to let you walk because you're a type of guy that I signed in free agency for like league minimum, unfortunately. Zach McEwen we'd like to keep, but he kind of wants a lot. For a 77 overall, that's a lot. Zach McEwen, another guy that we like here in Philadelphia. He's played a few seasons with the Flyers now. 219 games played in his NHL career. A couple full seasons in the NHL. I'd like to keep him, but not for that price tag. So we'll have to think about him in free agency. We'll have to let him go for right now. I'm sorry, my friend. Matthew Savoie will get his ELC. There we go. The 5th or 6th overall selection in the 2022 draft. Yeah, 6th overall playmaker. We just did his career simulation if you're interested in seeing that with him being drafted to the real life team that drafted him, the Buffalo Sabres. This guy Case or Kasha, David Kasha, 5th round pick, playmaker. He's been okay in the AHL, but would he want an AHL deal? He would. But 27 years of age, bottom 6 potential, I'm going to let him walk. Kaskamaki, Alfano, I'll just sign them as prospects, especially Kaskamaki. He was a 2nd round pick as well. But the other guys, I'll sign them on just to say that we signed them. I'll take care of that after. These guys can be taken care of in a moment. I want to see Carter Hart. Carter Hart's demand for 1 year comes down to 6.525 and keeps him in RFA status as well. 6.525, 85% of that is 5.5 basically. So 1 year at 5.5 for Carter Hart. We may not need to wait on Carter Hart. We might just be able to sign that right now. Because him at 5.5, Giroux at 5 point whatever, that will still give us a decent amount of cap space left over to think about signing someone on defense or as a solid $3-4 million third line winger to play with Lindblom and whoever's the third line centerman now that Brink is getting promoted. That would be good. I don't want to anger him or wait too long. Let's be realistic in all of this, right? So 1 year at 5.5 for Carter Hart, and then we'll reassess later on. 8 years, he wants like 14 million, so that's not going to happen. So a 1 year deal for Carter Hart. Let's see what he says to that. And let's move forward a day so we just kind of get a better picture of what's happening. We'll see if the coaches sign back as well. Giroux, not enough money. Carter Hart, not enough money. He wants to go to free agency? Yeah, well, tough luck, buddy. You're an RFA. You're not going to free agency. Savoie signs on, so does Kaskamaki. Okay. So Carter Hart, you want to play like that? Qualify. Goodbye. Oh, Jonathan Quick retired. I forgot. Jonathan Quick, he did have one more year in his contract, but he retired. Yes. Forgot about that. Malcolm Subban to stay on would want, like 1.1 million or something, and we definitely could sign him for that. But we have a lot of goalies in the system. Like Eve Gascon, she's going to get her entry-level contract right now, so she's going to want time in the AHL. Urson is a 24-year-old, a 74 overall. 5th-round pick, has backup potential. So if Sandstrom is starting and Urson and Gascon are both fighting for backup minutes, Ustamenko is maybe the 3rd goalie, at the very least in the NHL. He won't be backup. Maybe Sandstrom even moves and Urson and Gascon become the goalies in the AHL. But, okay, I'll take care of the rookie contracts, and I'm going to send another deal to Claude Giroux. Then we can advance another day before we get too bogged down in the bureaucracy of this all. 5.925 wasn't enough, so we'll go 1 year, 6 million on Giroux, and we'll see what he thinks about that. If we got to keep going up, we have the money to do it right now. But let me do some other stuff, then we'll advance the day. I send out contracts to all the younger RFAs, but think about our RFAs who are in our NHL lineup. Wade Allison has been a great 4th liner for us. I'd be okay with giving him a 2-year contract as a reward. 85% at 2 years would be just above 1 point, so like 1.525 for 2 years. For a guy who's been like a full-time NHLer for us, I'd be okay with that. 2 years on Wade Allison, there you go. Mark McLaughlin, who's now up to an 80 overall, he should be a full-timer next season. 2 years would keep him as an RFA. Would be a bit more costly, but you know what? Actually, I want to go the cheaper route here. Let's go just 1 year, 1 mil RFA. He only played like 12 games in the NHL, so it makes sense for a 1 year, 1 mil type of deal. And Ratcliffe, now that we know we definitely have the money, do we want to go 1 year to keep him as an RFA? Yes, we do. Although 2 years still and 3 years are still good contracts, we gotta go 1 just to try and be frugal here. So 1 year, 1.5, 1.275 is 85%. Worst case, we just qualify, but right now I'll send those offers out. And let's advance a day. And let's see, okay, I'm not thrilled with the role, but I accept it as AHL associate coach. Great. I don't feel the role you offer me is appropriate, even though that's the role that you want. Goodbye. And scouts are signing back on. Lovely. Giroux once again wants more money. Ratcliffe wants more money as well. Strome, easy decision. Hogberg, Urson, Zach, Allison rejects. Cates, easy. McLaughlin, easy. Alfano, Gascon, Hamara, all on board. Okay. Leaves us still over 20 million to play with. UFA, Claude Giroux is the only one left. So we have the money for sure. Let's just go 1 year, 6.250 just to get this over and done with. Don't need to drag this out in the media. And then for the RFAs, Ratcliffe and Allison can both be qualified. We'll end up getting them for cheaper because of their greed. So, hey, now, I don't make the rules. Goalies are all signed on except for Malcolm Subban. We can afford him, and just the question, is he the guy? He's been good in the slow sim, so I think I'm okay with doing a 1 year deal on him to bring him back for 1 more, see what happens. 85% is 1.15, so I think 1.2 is fair for 1 year on Malcolm. Let's advance another day now. More scouts signing back. Very good. Giroux still wants more money. Subban, easy decision. 6.450 for Claude Giroux. Let's try that now. Advance another day. Still not enough money. Really? So now we just... Here you go. 1 year, 6.750. There you go, Claude. Your greed got you in the end. Congratulations, buddy. Easy decision. Welcome back, the selfless captain. Welcome back. There you go, 6.75. So that'll allow us to go into free agency with 14.655 million. Obviously, some money to Ratcliffe and Allison. We still should have over 10 million to play with. But we do have to keep in mind that we can't sign big long-term deals because let's say by 2026-27, Claude Giroux is going to, he'll take a downgrade on his contract over time. Morgan Frost is going to need more money as well. In a couple of years' time, we have to give contracts to, actually, no one big. Then in 3 years' time, we got to give a contract to Savoie, Brink. Actually, we could do a big 2-year kind of deal. We have the money to go for 2 years. It's just Carter Hart. That's really interesting because right now we have 14.655 million. In 2026-27, it says we have 34 million to play with. So 34.19, let's say we're still giving whatever, 5 million to Giroux. We're giving 6 million to Frost, just going big numbers. Ratcliffe's getting 3 million. A third pair D's getting 3 million. McLaughlin's getting 2. McLennan's getting 2, something like that. That's pretty much it. All the other guys are at replacement level. Paros is he'll still be on an ELC. And that's about it. We still have 13.19 million left over. So we could do a 2-year contract for a big player in free agency. That doesn't include Carter Hart, though. Like, let's say Hart's making 7.5 on that. Now it leaves us more with now 5 million. But we could think about a 1 or 2 year deal here in free agency. That is extremely interesting. Now that we've moved Lawton and Tippett, that frees up a bit more of the short and longer term money. So yeah, we do have a lot of money committed longer term here. Our core is signed for quite a while here. Like if we're looking at, let's say the core is Nylander, Couturier, Seider, Farabee, we're moving into like 2027, 8, 9. It's 2024. That's years and years away. It's really going to come down to Carter Hart here. It's really going to come down to him. So we'll see how things are looking on July 1st. We can continue simming forward now that all those other contracts are taken care of. But we do have a bit more money than I thought we would be able to play with. Those AHL coaches, goodbye. Now that it's July 1st, we got to get a new head coach on board because our previous coach did not have a good fit with Moritz Seider. So before we even look at free agency or anything else, we need to find a coach who fits our team. So hopefully there's some A-rated coaches here in the staff free agency. There are a couple of A-rated and some A-minuses. That's good. So we have this guy Warden and this guy Jonas, who are the two A-rated. Fred Jonas, 47% fit and not good with Seider. 55 from Wharton, great with Couturier, not as great with Seider as I'd like him to be. Unfortunately, it's not a full team fit. It's only the guys who are coming back from last year. We don't know the rest of the guys who are going to be here in the future. Kearns, 58. Deschamps, 57. Couture, Gilbert Couture is 62%. That's good. 64 from Sylvain Desrochers. I like that. Better fit with Ellis and good fit with Sanheim. Sylvain might be our guy here. Good fit with Seider. I like Sylvain. And then, there's even 60. This guy's great with Seider, but he's a B-rated coach. That's going to affect the rest of the team. Lower with Brink, lower with Ellis. I think Desrochers is going to be our guy. It's still like a guy like Bobby Brink. He's not going to have that fit necessarily if he's on the second line. But let's at least work with him. He's been in the NHL before. He was the coach of the Senators and then the Bruins. He was 0-6-2 with the Bruins to start 2023-24 and was fired. Donc, Sylvain Desrochers, on va vous donner une autre chance dans la LNH. And even the Bruins are interested in him. They fire him after going 0-6-2. Now they're interested in hiring him back. That's hilarious. How much salary do we have? But hopefully it doesn't matter because the owner mode is turned off. So let's give him max 8 years with like millions of dollars. So how does $3 million sound for 8 years as head coach? You want 2.3. I'm offering you 3. Let's see what Sylvain has to say to be our new head coach. Our current head coach, who is an A-, I believe, would become our associate coach. So that would be a good coaching staff for us right there. I also want to go ahead and take care of our scouts. So give me another moment to do that as we got to cycle through the C-rated scouts and hire some new A-rated scouts. That'll very much help us in future drafts, especially since we'll be having later picks in the 3rd round onward. Just want to check the hire scout screen here. Are there some A-rated scouts? Some B? Yeah, all right, perfect. So give me a moment to hire and fire some of these. All right, so hopefully 14 new scouts will be on their way to Philadelphia. We're overhauling the scouting staff here. So the contract, we can wait on the RFAs. We'll get them taken care of sometime in the offseason. We want to see the free agent class. Here we go. Who made it to unrestricted free agency? Big names coming off the bat right away. So we got Pastrnak, Aho, Gensel, Pavelski, Bergeron, Pacioretty, Beauvillier, Muzzin, Voracek, Hoffman, Zuccarello, Stevenson, Duclair, DeBrusque, Toffoli, Wilson. I want to say just all the 85s. So just keep on going. You have Evgeny Malkin down there. Wow. So lots of forwards out here. If we're thinking about wingers especially, a guy like David Pastrnak, but he wants 7 years. That's the thing. I want to get a player who would be down to take a couple of years just to do whatever they want to do, whether they want more money later on. I don't know what. But who's down for a shorter contract? Maybe Joe Pavelski's one of those guys. He wants 1 year. Maybe Max Pacioretty's a guy like that. So let's just look by forwards first and foremost. That just gets Muzzin out of there. Maybe a guy like Jacob Voracek comes back to Philadelphia. Like, think about that line. If we have Lindblom on the left and Matthew Savoie is centering that line, that's playmaking and a two-way forward. I'd kind of want more of a sniper there. So I'd be wanting a third-line sniper because Pastrnak, Gensel... Like I said, a big guy, but if we get that big guy, because Claude Giroux will be bumped down sooner rather than later. Claude Giroux becomes a third liner by 2025-26. So do we get a big guy like Jake Guentzel, for example, just throwing names out there, on a 3-year contract, start him, and then the first line next year is Guentzel, Couturier, and Nylander. Second line would be Giroux, Frost, and Farabee. Third line is still Lindblom, Savoie, and Brink. But then the year after that, Brink and Giroux swap. That's the thing. So we're putting a lot of eggs in Bobby Brink's basket. I'm okay with that. But can we also put those eggs in Claude Giroux's basket of being really good long term when the guy's 37 and he's going to be going down in overall over time? Because other teams are interested too. It's not going to be easy to get a guy like Jake Guentzel, especially going from Pittsburgh to Philly. I doubt Jake Guentzel does that. A sniper who simulates more as a playmaker, perhaps. David Pastrnak, he had 35 goals last season. Max Pacioretty might be a guy who's down for that 1-year kind of contract, who's still going down in overall. He might be interested in coming to Philadelphia. Mike Hoffman, Anthony Duclair. Duclair's tempting. He had 19 goals last year. Because having a guy who can slot up in the lineup is good as well. That's the thing. Who else is interested in Max Pacioretty here? The Vegas Golden Knights are interested in bringing him back. Could we go 1 year, $8 million on Pacioretty? Because you have to also think about the realism. Yes, Pastrnak and Guentzel could make sense, but would they want a 2 or 3 year contract as opposed to the 7 years they'd be getting in free agency right now? I think it really comes down to Pavelski, Pacioretty, and like Mike Hoffman maybe. Mike Hoffman, I'm not a huge fan of him. He wasn't great in our Minnesota Wild franchise. He's still an 85 overall. He was 34. 5-star shooting, but not good defense. Yeah, I think it's Pacioretty or Pavelski. Pavelski would be more costly, but he is coming off of an 86-point season. 4-star shooting, 5-star puck skills. He's crazy, but he is 39 years of age, but still has elite potential. Pacioretty, more penalty minutes, lower offensive awareness by 1, lower poise by 4. He's younger. You know what? Let's get Pavelski that cup. Let's get Joe Pavelski that Stanley Cup. Carolina's interested in him. Let's go big. We have the money. Let's go big. Hold on. We have 14.655 minus, let's say, the $5 million that Carter Hart's going to get. It leaves us with 9.65. We can't go too crazy, eh? Let's go 1 year, $9 million. 1 year, $9 million. Joey, if you're down, come on in. 1 year, $9 million for Joe Pavelski to come to Philadelphia and try to keep up the magic he's been having. He went to Buffalo on a 1-year contract. Scored 31 goals and 55 assists, over a point per game. Had some tough years in Dallas, did some great things in Buffalo. He still has it in him. So let's let him do what he can do. So I'm just going to stop right there. That's the 1 UFA we want to sign. We also want to look at anyone else in potential, any young players. Tracy's here, Braden Tracy. Okay, I could see Braden Tracy. He's a playmaker. Berggren, Jonathan Berggren, another playmaker from the Red Wings. We don't need much down in the AHL. There's also Fanaseyev, 73 overall. Let's sign Tracy. Why not? I'll give Tracy a 2-way deal, max 2-way deal. Why not? And for goaltenders, we got to see what Carter Hart's going to say now. What is he asking for? Ilya Sorokin here in free agency. Carter Hart wants, that's Mackenzie Blackwood. He wants the 7.55 for 1 year, so we'll have to wait for that to come down. 5.8 for 1. Ooh, hold on. His 1 year demand has gone down to 5.8, which means we could get him for 4.93. 1 year at 4.93 for Carter Hart allows us to get Joe Pavelski and potentially some other players. So 9.3 becomes 9.50. 1 year, 4.950. Let's see what Carter Hart, Joe Pavelski, new head coach. Let's see what all these guys have to say, because this could be really big for the Flyers moving forward here. This could be really, really big. We're going to wait for some scouts to sign on as well. Yes, Sylvain, bienvenue à l'équipe. The makeup of your roster is exactly what I'm looking for. I accept with no reservations. Okay. Welcome to Philadelphia. Another French-speaking coach after Alain Vigneault didn't do super well. Now we move on to Sylvain Desrochers. We have scouts signing on. Very nice. Welcome to the team. July 5th is usually that magical day. Braden Tracy's here. All right, there's one. All right, there's a guy for our system. Advancing another day. Joe Pavelski! Extremely happy to accept your offer. Cash offer is most generous and quite easy to make my mind up about your offer. Joe Pavelski, one of the best American players in NHL history, coming to the birthplace of liberty. Carter Hart rejects the offer. Well, good night, Varon Couché. Couldn't care less because we love Carter. We love Joe Pavelski. We do love Carter Hart, but come on. Don't play games with us, Carter. We have 6.605 million left to use. So going back to the RFAs, Carter Hart for 1 year, has his demands changed at all? Still 5.8, so I'm not in a rush. We'll wait on Carter Hart a little bit more. I want to get the other RFAs done so we can really figure out how much money we have to play with. So Isaac Ratcliffe, can I give you your 1 year deal? You want 1.6 instead of 1.5 now. And Wade Allison for a couple of years, you want... Actually, he's down to 1.275. That's more reasonable. I was offering even more earlier on. So 85% of that is 1.08. So here you go. 2 years at 1.1. Let's see what Wade Allison says to that. Then we're just going to be waiting on Ratcliffe and Hart. So we'll start simulating towards next season. We have our scouts. We have our head coach. I can't wait to see how this team's looking to start the season. We'll also do our X factors in just a moment. We always do a little bit of X factor changes here. Not going to do that. We can add or remove up to 3 X factors on up to 3 players per season. Wade Allison, extremely happy to accept the offer. Thank you very much. Let's get to like the, I don't know, somewhere towards the end of July. Then we'll offer the contracts again. Now July 23rd, and Ratcliffe was willing to take 1.3 for 1 year. That's what I thought, buddy. 1.325, 1.126. So let's do 1.150 for 1 year on Ratcliffe. Keeps him as an RFA. We could sign him to something longer later on. Or do we take this advantage while he's an RFA and try to sign him for like a 3-4 year deal? That wouldn't be a bad idea. He's an 81 overall. He can easily be a third liner. He's been playing fourth line. I wouldn't mind doing that. I don't think it would be realistic to go for like 5+ years. But Ratcliffe, what's he done so far in the NHL? He was a second round pick, in 2017, 35th overall. He's been here for a few years now. He's played how many games in the NHL? 164, 2 full seasons in the league. I'd be okay with a 3, 4, 5 year range. He will be an unrestricted free agent, but we do get him at a cheaper price tag. So maybe we want to do like 3 years. 3 years would be 1.450 for 3 years. Bring him to the age of 28. He would have played 5 years in the NHL by that point. If we do 1 year and then he wants 2-3 million, he's definitely walking. So I'd be okay with doing 3 years at 1.45 for Isaac Ratcliffe. And we'll come back and see what he says about that. Carter Hart, how you doing, buddy? Hope you've had a good few weeks here on your vacation, summer vacation. He'll take 4.875 now for 1 year. That'll be 4.15. But let's be real. Let's not be too crazy. 4.15 is less than it would probably cost to get him. Let's do 1 year at whatever, 4.45, extra $300,000, and I don't even need to give you that. I'm just giving you because I'm a nice guy. And hopefully both Ratcliffe and Hart will resign, and we'll be ready to simulate to the beginning of the preseason. So simming towards next season now, a lot of random trades are coming in that we don't want to do. Don't want to trade you my prospects and picks. Ratcliffe, extremely happy to sign the offer. So that's 1. And Carter Hart, I've just decided to accept your offer. Thank you very much. That brings us, drumroll please, to a completed roster with just shy of $3 million left to play with if need be. So if something happens on the defense, I'm happy to run with Moritz Seider, Ellis, York, Sanheim, Risto, and Ronnie. If Ronnie's not cutting it, Risto's struggling, whatever, I'm okay with making a deadline type of deal for a guy making 2.5 or even 3.4 and you get him at salary retained. I think that's okay. We're gonna be just all right. So now we can wrap up the off season. We have to go to the edit player, and we want to play with the X factors since the game does not add or remove them by itself. We do it manually. I don't want to give William Nylander more than we've already given him, but I think we're going to give it to Seider, Brink, and Lindblom. That's what we agreed upon. Because Lindblom, we want to get him back to how he simulated before the blip. Moritz Seider, 23 years old, 89 overall, medium elite, all that good stuff. No X factors. That does not make sense. So we can add up to 3 X factors on up to 3 players. So for Seider, I'm thinking something of defense, shooting, skating. Let's see what we can do right here. All right, so I think we're going to go with in reverse, advanced speed and acceleration when back skating. Shutdown, advanced accuracy when poke checking against momentum or at speed and rush situations. Also improves shot blocking and hitting strength while defending against rush chances. And wheels, advanced agility, speed and acceleration when skating with the puck. So there you go, Moritz Seider. 3 of those X factors right there. We can always play with them some more moving forward, but those will be what he has moving into 2024-25. For Oscar Lindblom is now up to an 83. I'm not sure if he'll maintain that. We want to get him back to simulating how he was when he was an 85. He was amazing in that season before the universe, before the Thanos snap. So if I could give him just a couple of offensive ones, I think that would be a fair thing. He has the Born Leader with the A on his chest. He does well in that regard. But we want to get him back to what he was doing previously. So I was thinking maybe Seeing Eye as one of them, advanced accuracy on shots when the goalie is screened, and make it snappy, I think. Advanced accuracy when taking snapshots when skating. I think that would be good for Oscar Lindblom. Yeah, so just a couple added for him. He now has a total of 3. And finally, for Bobby Brink, after his goal scoring that he pulled off in the postseason and that snipe that he had in-game, we want to add 1 or 2 shooting X factors for Bobby. So I was thinking to make it snappy for sure. Snapshots there, but also potentially the snipe. Outstanding skill to settle pucks with advanced wrist shot accuracy off settled puck. Let's try that. If anyone hates these, wants more, wants less, we could fix it heading into the actual regular season. This is just still off-season moves. And also, moving forward, we will be also removing these. As a player regresses, we'll be removing the X factors as well. So in the future, remember, every off-season, up to 3 X factors added or removed on up to 3 players. I do go throughout the rest of the NHL and I look, okay, who's the top player on Pittsburgh? Who's the top player on Seattle? Who's the top player here? Okay, Wenberg's an 86, but he's really good at face-offs. See, okay, just for example, this guy's not, but I would just add X factors to the rest of the league. So I'm not giving the Flyers the edge in that regard, where it's only the Flyers players getting X factors. It's the best players around the entire league who get X factors added. Also note, I just see right here that the Penguins signed JVR for a 2-year, $2 million per season contract. Shout out to JVR. And the very last thing we have to do is set the draft class and prospect quality, all that stuff headed into the 2025 draft. So I got my laptop out right now. We're going to do a random number between 1 and 100 for the draft class quality. If it's between 1 and 30, we go low. 31 to 69, we go medium. 70 to 100, we go high. So randomizing 1 to 100, I get 85. So the draft class quality will be high in 2025, but the generated prospect quality will be high as well with 99. What are the odds? A number in the 80s and a number in the 90s. So it's unfortunate we don't have a first or a second round pick, but we do have 3 third-round picks in next year's draft. High draft quality, high prospect quality. Oh boy, there's going to be at least a franchise player. There's going to be some elites in that top 5. Sheesh. Would have been nice to get a top 5 pick in that draft, but when a team wants to trade their pick like Nashville did this year, you got to pounce on opportunity. So all that's taken care of. Let's get to the beginning of the 2024 preseason, where we can actually check out how this team looks. All right, so here we are headed into 2024-25. Let's start looking at the idea of what our lines may look like. Claude Giroux, Sean Couturier, and William Nylander still get a +5 with this new head coach. Giroux is still an 86 overall, Couturier is an 89, and Nylander's up to a 91, playing like a 96 overall. So that'll be amazing to see next season. Can he actually win the Hart and Art Ross in the Prime universe? Second line, I went Farabee, Frost, and Brink, but the middle 6 is pretty interchangeable. Pavelski could come to the second line, and Ratcliffe could play third line center perhaps. The difficult thing is who's going to play center, because Joe Pavelski, he's a right-wing centerman. He has 81 faceoffs. He's now 40 years of age, but he's still an 88 overall with 5-star puck skills, defense, senses. The man's a monster out here. The third line right now is Lindblom, Pavelski, and Ratcliffe. And, Ratcliffe up to an 82 overall. I have a hard time keeping him on the fourth line. The fourth line, we have Connor McLennan, 22 years of age, a 6th round pick in 2020. He has 4-star shooting and is a 5'8" sniper. Small guy just like Paros, who we just drafted, and just like Bobby Brink as well. So we don't want to get too small over here. Yes, Ratcliffe's a big boy and all that. Fourth line, we also have Tyson Forster, 1st-round pick in 2020, who's now up to a 79 overall. He's going to need some time in the NHL, probably. And Mark McLaughlin, the 80 overall. He's a centerman, but he has 53 faceoffs, so I'd prefer that he plays on the wing. Does he become a depth guy? I'm not sure. Speaking of depth, we have Wade Allison, 78 overall, and Matthew Savoie, who is now a 78. Does Savoie make the NHL lineup, third-line center, something like that? Or do we put him back into the WHL? In theory, we could go Savoie, third-line center, Pavelski on the right, and then Ratcliffe down on the fourth line. Then McLaughlin gets pushed out. Then what happens to Allison? Then you have Matthew Strome, who's a 79. You have Braden Tracy, who's a 79. You have Lachinsky, who's a 78. There's some other players out here who are pushing for minutes in the NHL. So who do you want to see from in the preseason, and what do they have to do to stick in the lineup? If they don't do well enough, enough, who might you even consider trading? Defense, York and Sider gets a +2, and Sider's up to a 91, so that is amazing news. He has a great fit on every pair with this new head coach. Really happy to hear that. Sanheim and Ellis have a 0. Ellis is down to an 84 overall. And Ristolainen could play with Cooper Zek as a 78, but I prefer that he plays with Ronnie. The computer just put him there, so Ronnie would be the 80 overall guy. Cooper Zek is likely our 7th D-man, as Ronnie and Risto would be the 3rd pair. Goaltending, Carter Hart is up to an 89 overall, and Malcolm Subban backs him up as an 81. The 3rd goalie would be Felix Sandstrom, Kirill Ustamenko as a 79, which makes Felix Sandstrom expendable, in my opinion, because Urson as a 74 and Gascon as a 69 can be the starter and backup in the AHL. So that's how the lineup looks right now. There's a lot of changes we could make if Brink and Pavelski were swapped. It doesn't do much for the chemistry. The +5 in the first line is amazing. On the power play, we'll get a +5. We'll try to do something else on the other units. I haven't touched those yet, so that's good news. At least for the big guns and the first D pair and the penalty kill, there are good chemistry boosts. That's what we like to hear. It's really the bottom 6, even the middle 6, what's up? What are kind of permutations are we going to do? Who becomes expendable? Who becomes depth? Who gets sent down altogether? Who's traded? That is what we're thinking about. Captaincy stay the same as Claude Giroux's our captain, with the alternates being Sean Couturier and, it's showing me the AHL, but Sean Couturier and Oscar Lindblom being the alternates. So here you can see that. Also, Joe Pavelski, I know he's worn is a 16 or 17 in Dallas, but I'm pretty sure for his entire career in San Jose, plus even on Team USA, he's always been number 8. No one has it, so Joe Pavelski, you may have your number 8. Welcome back here in Philadelphia. All the other numbers, I believe, are correct. Yeah, Matthew Savoie usually wears 93. Does anyone have that? McLennan has 93, but McLennan, we'll see who makes the team there. We'll see what happens. The rest of the numbers should be good to go. Savoie and McLennan, former teammates on the Winnipeg Ice, by the way, so that's a fun storyline to follow. So that's it for everything else that we need to do right now. Everything else will be left in your hands, the assistant general managers. The last thing that I can do for you is show you the trade blocks around the NHL, just to give you the full due diligence look at who's available. If there might be any targets you want to go for. No one on the block in Anaheim. Arizona has Mark Giordano and Kevin Hayes both on the block. Our good friend Kevin Hayes. In Boston, there's Nick Leddy. Buffalo has Jack Quinn and other prospects. Calgary, Jeremy, is that Jeremy Poirier, the defenseman? Yes, it is, on the block and some other prospects. Carolina, D'Angelo, Slavin, Bertuzzi, Smith, Shea, Jansen, and Stastny. A lot of them with expiring deals. Prospects in Chicago, Colorado prospects, Columbus, Boone Jenner, Bjorkstrand, Smith, with a lot of trade value. Moore, Hall, Soucy, Strawman, Kajula, Carrier, and some other names. Stranges, Glebov in Dallas. We were thinking about Antonio Stranges, but I don't think he's going to grow at this point. Detroit has Miller and Subban on the block. Bourgault and other prospects in Edmonton. Surdif and other prospects in Florida. Pinelli and other prospects in LA. Kevin Fiala on the block with 4 more years in Minnesota. Montreal, no one on the block. Nashville, Scott Lawton's on the block already. Sissons, Goudreau, Evangelista, other prospect there. Devils, Dylan, Rivera, etc. Kokkonen, Yandel, etc. on the Islanders. Rangers, Goodrow, Petrovic, and some others. Senators, Appleton, Benning, and some more. Muzzin, Edmondson, Matheson, Pedersen, and Orlov all on the block in Pittsburgh. Joel Edmondson leaves and signs 4 by 4.68. We definitely didn't have that money. San Jose, Seamek, Seattle, Larson, Ghost, and Alexiak all on the block. St. Louis, Barry Boulet, and some other prospects. Lightning, Hagel, who's an RFA, 26, 85 overall with medium top 6 potential. He would be very nice to have on board, but we don't have the money that would take to sign him most likely. He just came off of a 55-point season. Interesting to keep in mind. Toronto Maple Leafs, no one on the block over there. Vancouver prospects, Vegas prospects, including Chaika. Washington, Eberle, Barabanov, Brown, Oshie, Dumoulin, Gardner, Zub, Dickinson, Paul. A lot of names there. Winnipeg, no one really there, so some prospects. So, all right, if you have any suggestions that have to do with trades, you may want to keep those trade blocks in consideration. Love the coaching staff with Sylvain now on board as the head coach. Coaching staff at 61, it'll grow, but his morale is happy. Our former head coach, now the associate coach, he's not as happy as he once was. This guy, the assistant coach, doesn't have great morale. Now I just got this goalie coach, so I don't know. and may want to look at some better staff in the AHL. Scouts, I'll go ahead and send all those out on my own off screen as always, but I'll go ahead and wrap it up there, ladies and gentlemen. Other contract extensions won't be able to be done until halfway in the season, so guys like Giroux, Pavelski, we can't even think about extending them yet. Guys like Ronnie could be extended now, but we don't really have enough information on them as of this moment. Thankfully, we do have the core extended long term, but we're kind of in win now mode. We signed Joe Pavelski to that 1-year deal. We have Seider at a 91, the +5 in the first line with William Nylander as a 91 +5. I'm very excited for the 2024-25 season. I just need all of you to help me out with the lineup itself, namely the bottom 6 and even the permutations in the middle 6. So leave your thoughts on all that down here in the YouTube comments or over on the Discord server. The link for that is in the description. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this one. It was a fun offseason, big draft, Paros in the system. Totally forgot to look at him. We're not going to have him on the team just yet. He'll play another year down at the University of Michigan or wherever he's playing. But if you are curious about his offseason growth, there's none really to talk about. He's still a 77 overall at the age of 18, so he won't be cracking the lineup just yet. Like I said, a really fun episode, including a good draft especially for Paros. You don't get a top 5 pick a team willing to move that pick every day. Tough to move on from Tippett and Lawton, but I think that it was for the greater good as much as it hurt a little bit. Looking forward to a big season in 2024-25. Hopefully I can do the whole season in one episode, as we want to get through more seasons before NHL 23. So keep that in mind with your suggestions. If by the deadline this guy's not doing well, trade this guy. All that is in your mind when you are formulating your suggestions as an AGM. So I will really leave you off there. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to leave a like, and of course do consider subscribing if you haven't already. NHL 22 franchise mode, career simulations, and much more. Be sure to check out the Matthew Savoie career simulation. Speaking of Savoie, with him being drafted to the Buffalo Sabres in the real world, check that out if you haven't already, as well as the other career simulations, which are a blast. Thank you for watching once again, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing you again in the next one.